Hey guys! Okay, so today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to go through the pros and cons of UCLA. So, sorry, I'm going to look at my little notepad. Meanwhile, look at how cute this is. Okay, sorry, that was gross. Okay, so the number one thing is cost. I don't know if you're familiar, but out-of-state and international students actually pay a lot more than California students. So much cheaper than a private school. It's ridiculous. Finance is definitely something to look into because, let's be honest, we're not all made of money and can't go to a private school where it's $60,000 a year when you can get an elite education at a top tier school for half that. Let's be real, that's great. So this is definitely, you have to keep in mind, like, this is like personality preference. A con for some people is definitely size, but this goes for a lot of public schools. It is really, really big, and I don't know if you guys can like even imagine, because in high school, you know, even if you go to a larger high school, you know most of the people, and your classroom size, even if it is like as large as 50 students, here, class sizes can be up to like 400, which is just overwhelming at times. Some people actually really do like that. People like to miss class and not be called out for it and just like, you know, be recognized, hey, where were you in class, by the professor. But some people like to go to class and get to know the professor and perhaps even collaborate with their classmates. Which doesn't happen as often in a larger setting. It is definitely less intimate, but you can decide how much you want to change that. I know that sounds weird, but so many people just don't participate in class, and even professors get so frustrated with that, and so do students who want to, you know, hear all the different opinions and the feedback from other classmates. So I'm definitely a really, really outgoing person, and I'm like, all my professors know me by name. I participate, and I'm not saying like I'm special. I just am outgoing, and I'm blessed enough to really not really care what people think of me, because I know it can be embarrassing if like you say something wrong or you just don't really know if what you're saying is going to sound intelligent, but I really don't care. So some people do, and I understand that. That's something to keep in mind. It is intimidating to speak in front of like 400 people, but another way to get to know your professors and reach out to them is by going to their office hours, which I definitely frequent my professors' office hours, which is definitely how they get to know me on a better level. But at times that can be a little bit intimidating as well, because as opposed to the just so many people, it's like so few people. So that's a little bit awkward at times, especially at first. Like later on, it's like not a big deal. And a lot of people don't really know how to leave office hours. And you know, you ask your question and then they're like, they answer it and you're just like, okay, well, thank you. Goodbye. A little bit awkward. You know, you learn from these experiences, and I would definitely encourage that kind of interaction if you want to go to a larger school. So again, like, it's your decision whether or not you're known by your professors. So if you think you're a shy person and you do care about getting to know your professors, maybe sit in on a class at a large institution and just kind of gauge your feelings from there. So I was talking a lot about professors, and that is a pro. So this is a large research institution. These professors are so smart, like it's insane. They all are leaders in their field. They have published books upon published books. They're quoted in New York Times constantly. I know I have readings where I'm just like, oh, professor, you know, the professor I have, and I'm just like, I know him. So it's really, really cool, and you get to hear feedback from people who are leading the research in what you're learning. Another pro, obviously, is the rank. We're like 23 or something nationally, which is just insane. Again, don't let that be the deciding factor for you. Believe it or not, like, rank isn't everything. I mean, I guess it depends on who you are, but happiness matters. So a pro and a con is research. So I am a political science major, and there really isn't much opportunity for those who are more in the humanities, social sciences. I've heard a lot of different things about science, and people who are in, those fields. I've heard there's a lot of opportunity to kind of get on hands-on research. Obviously, they do have opportunities for research for everybody, but sometimes, as this is a huge school and we do have a lot of graduate programs, a lot of the times these research opportunities are open to graduates, and it makes sense why they would choose graduates over undergraduates. I mean, that's what they're here for. That's not to say that you can't do it. I know they have specific classes, like if you reach out to a professor and you have an interesting research topic and they're interested in it as well, they will sign on with you and you kind of just create your own class and then go from there. I haven't done it, so maybe I will. I'll let you know if I do and then give you feedback. So I just talked about graduate students, so I guess a pro and con. A pro for graduate students is the graduate programs on campus. That is amazing. So I, right now, am debating between seeking a PhD in political science or going to law school. And even if I was seeking like med school or whatever else, it's all here. And they're all amazing. They're all renowned. I know I definitely go to the law library all the time because it is just beautiful and amazing and I just feel so smart. And so that's really neat. And you get to sit in, if you really are interested and you don't know, you can sit in on like a law class. And UCLA law is ranked like 16. So that's pretty cool to just like, hey, can I sit in on your class? Like, yeah. So obviously you go through admissions, but they're really, really nice. So it's really cool. This con is just, I think, college in general. It applies to college in general. Enrollment. It is so stressful. Like, you have these classes picked out that you really want to take, and by the time it's your time to enroll, you have to change it completely because they're all full. And that, I mean, at a big school, obviously, you would think that that's more of like a prominent feature. And I've noticed it's tough, and a lot of people get priority enrollment. We have a lot of athletes here, and they do get priority enrollment, as well as I think honors program does, whatever else, and that's something to look into. But I've heard the same for private schools that are small, because obviously, yeah, there's less students, but their classroom sizes are much smaller as well. So obviously it's like the same. So that's just college, just so you know. Like, yay. So definitely, I guess, just have backup classes that you'd want to take. A pro and con is, I think, the athletic sphere here. It's so cool that we have such amazing programs in like everything. I think we have the most NCAA championships out of anybody, and like that's amazing. And it's really cool to just see people who are like on the like news and TV and stuff, and just like walking to class like, hey, like that's a really good athlete. So that is really cool, and it instills a lot of spirit as well. But sometimes if you're not an athlete, it gets a little bit like overwhelming because I mean sometimes like they're like have their photos hanging in different places, and like, I mean, if you already go here, I promise you've had this. So tell me if you have. Where you're at home and you're wearing something UCLA and someone's like, oh my gosh, UCLA, what sport do you play? And you're just like, varsity political science? Like, nothing. So people really do associate sports and UCLA, and sometimes that can get a little annoying because it's like, it's really good academically, like, please recognize that. And people do. But I don't know, maybe I'm just being a little sensitive. Let me know. But I think that it's amazing. You can go to like world recognized sports events like in your backyard, and so it's crazy and it's really cool, and it's just an aspect of college that not a lot of people have. I think my sister's school doesn't even have like a football team or something, so it's like, I mean, definitely take advantage of that. One thing that's just like recognized is UCLA is in a nice area. Westwood, like literally across the street is Bel Air. Like I can walk like across the street and I'm in like these huge homes. So I know on Halloween a lot of people go in that area and like trick or treat and stuff. I don't, but you know, it's kind of cool. And we're just like 15 minutes away from Santa Monica, which is really cool because if you want to go to the beach anytime, just take the Blue Bus 1 and you're there. Another thing with size is we have an enormous alumni network, which is so valuable. There's really no like putting a like rank on that. That is just amazing. Any field you want to go into, there will be a UCLA alum who will be like, oh, you're a Bruin too? Like, yeah, like come intern, come help. Like, it's amazing. Just these connections. It's really great. And also from my experience, I really like that it is competitive, but it's not cutthroat. Like I've heard at other schools, it's like people sabotage each other and like refuse to study with each other, etc., etc. And for the most part, I have not experienced that. Like if I need help or if I need notes, people are like, yeah, for sure. And like I'm always giving people notes that randomly email me because I'm on like the class list. One aspect that they try to make it smaller, but this is usually not for upper division courses, is discussion sections, which is like 20 people. And like what I've noticed whenever I'm in them, like not a lot of people participate, so it's kind of like awkward. Guys can comment if you guys go to UCLA or anywhere similar, like how useful you think those are. Comment below. I just don't really think they're that useful, but I go. The TAs are always amazing and they're helpful, but they really rely on other people to participate, which they should, and people don't. So it's like, I don't know, kind of awkward. Another con, but I think this is at most schools, but UCLA in particular, I am sure, the tours that go on 24/7. I am all for getting the word out there, come visit, let's view everything, but I see like 10 a day. And it's just like kind of annoying. I feel like I'm in a zoo and it's like, don't feed the students. Like, oh, something I really don't like here is the North Campus, South Campus rivalry. So basically South Campus is math and science and like engineering, things like that. And North Campus is like the humanities, social sciences. So many people are just like, oh, you're a poli-sci major? Like that's easy. Like I have to do math and calculus. It's just like, if you really don't like it, change your major, okay? And I think they're both equally meritorious and arduous in their own separate and distinct ways. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Like, it's just your personal preference, where you want to go. Like, I don't want to be a doctor, like, or an engineer. I either want to be a lawyer or a political commentator or of the like. So another pro and con, it's like there's a lot of activities to involve yourself in, but almost too much, so it's like overwhelming. But anything you could ever want, you can find. I know that doesn't make sense, but so it's really good and it's like kind of sucky, because I don't know, I got overwhelmed. I was just like, okay, I was like at the activities fair, so just like, okay, well, I'm going back to the dorms, like, peace out. But I mean, obviously not a lot of people are like that, so, but you can find literally anything that you want to do, which is really cool. But one thing is also to keep in mind, but at any institution that's more competitive, if you have to apply to be in something, like whatever it may be, any type of extracurricular activity, you're up against other people who are at UCLA and are really smart and competitive people, and so it's not guaranteed that you get to do what you want, which kind of is a bummer. A lot of things are really exclusive, which I understand. You know, you can only admit so many people into these things, but there's a lot of people and we're all really amazing. So yeah, con is definitely traffic. Even if you don't commute, but you like live near your home and like go home often, it sucks leaving and coming back. That's just LA though. So Another plus in the food here, I think we're ranked like second for dorm food in the nation. I think we should be first. I've never been to the one that is first, but it's so good. So, I mean, keep in mind freshman 15. But I've noticed that people don't really gain that much weight here because there's so much walking. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but you have to walk uphill both ways. There's like, the dorm is on a hill, you go down, and then you go up to go to all your classes. And then when you need to go back to the dorms, you go down and then up. And so there's lots of hills, lots of stairs, there's no avoiding them. So all of that exercise is going to help out with that freshman 15. Like, kind of just, I think I found that it's just kind of a net effect of 0 from at least my experience. So I've heard at like UC San Diego, it's kind of antisocial. From what I've heard, like, this is just what my friends have told me, but I know, like, obviously, like, you can, like, seek out parties, but I guess it's just a little more difficult. Whereas at, like, Santa Barbara, I've heard it's, like, all the time, to a point where I've been told if you don't party, like, you're kind of seen as an outsider. And that's not like that here. Like, I personally don't party, and I've never thought I was, like, looked upon as, like, unusual in any way, and if I wanted to somehow party someday, I could, you know what I mean? So it's just like a nice balance that I think people should keep in mind, because if you're really not into that scene and you're at a school that really is, you're not gonna like it. So I really recommend visiting campuses, but not necessarily in a tour. If you do a university-run campus tour, you are going to hear everything that is great about that school. Nothing they say is going to make you want to not go there. So I say find someone you know, or just go and just observe, because that way it's a lot less subjective and you really can kind of gauge your interest in being at that school for the next 4 years of your life. Okay, so that's my spiel. Let me know if there's any questions, concerns, comments. I said anything wrong, I apologize if I have. Yeah, and if you guys want me to do like application tips or anything like that, just let me know, comment below, and be sure to subscribe. But yeah, I hope this helped you guys. I just think it's so important to really do your research when you're trying to go to college. The earlier the better to know these things. Okay, bye guys.